What is up, everybody? I have got a new friend here with us today. I've got Dan on the line. Is it Kading? Dan
Yes, you're
Kading?
right.
Yep. So
Yep.
we are live in all of the places. Hopefully, we'll get some comments rolling in and kind of help steer the conversation here a little bit. But we're both kind of in content marketing and do a lot of work on LinkedIn. So those of you that are watching on my channels probably know who I am and what I do. But I'll turn the time over to Dan a little bit, kind of intro what he's up to and what he does, and then we'll kind of get to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to be here. Yeah, I started out with just posting on LinkedIn about 10 months ago, really went full steam ahead with it. I have a poetry background. I always have liked to write and express myself through a written form. LinkedIn seemed like the perfect place to do that. So started creating full time 10 months ago, built in my opinion, a pretty decent following pretty quickly and an engaged audience of people that really enjoyed talking to me. So I just kept going with that, started meeting with people over Zoom and found out that a lot of the stuff I thought was super, super obvious was not obvious at all. And LinkedIn was not making it very clear to people what they needed to do to really get that boost in the algorithm organically and easily. So started sharing that knowledge with people and then thought, how could I scale this into a small little freelance business, and started offering content checking services for creators who just don't feel confident posting for their first time. We can go over the details and figure it out together and make sure that the content is going to hit and they can feel confident every time they hit publish. And yeah, beyond that, just been building on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok now, and just trying to expand my influence outward and bring more people back to LinkedIn and help them realize it's a great platform. And it's not just about the new flashy things that are all around, that LinkedIn still holds a really good spot in the creator economy in the market. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, and just having fun, having great conversations like this and expanding myself in any direction I can.
Yeah, for sure. It's super cool. I mean, we met recently on LinkedIn, right? I think we're
Mhm.
kind of in similar spheres of influence, and we're before the show we were kind of getting technically set up and everything. We're talking about people that we follow, and like every time you would mention somebody, I'm like, "Yep, that guy's on the list. Yep, that guy's on the list of like the people that I vehemently consume their content." So
Yeah, yeah.
definitely the same spheres. As I've been getting going, I a little bit different. It seems like you're doing more consultant stuff and helping like individuals get to a point where they're being successful, and I think that's a really awesome model. I'm kind of on the other end of that, where I'm helping brands do a similar thing. A lot of brands are kind of stuck in old beliefs or old mentalities, and I'm trying to help
Yeah.
change that with content and with marketing and branding, and kind of bring a lot of the brands that people may know about or may not know about and kind of bring them out of obscurity online. So it's cool
Yeah,
that you've
I
kind of
dig
honed
that.
in on LinkedIn, and like you're finding success kind of on one platform and you're trying to bring it all together, versus me that's like still trying to figure out like where the best place is to be and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really have a plan for it. I just thought, what would be the one thing I could do for people right now? And I sent a thread on Twitter to one of my other creator friends on Twitter, and he did a screen capture. He did some circles. He did some arrows. It was like, you should switch this around. You should move this around. And I was like, I could do this on LinkedIn for people, and it just immediately started from there. And so yeah, just been trying to recreate that for people as much as I can.
yeah,
But
for sure. So I mean, what percentage of people that are on LinkedIn do you think need help with their profiles?
I look at a lot of profiles, so I'm super picky, but probably about, I don't know, 60 or 70%, maybe. Yeah, Like,
Yeah.
there's something wrong. I mean, if the profile is great, the headline might be completely off, and they're just throwing a bunch of word verbiage at people, and they're not really speaking to what they're going to do to help others. So yeah, I think that if I was to highlight anything on a profile that needs the most work, it's usually a headline because that's your first impression, and those first 43 characters are what people see in the comments. And a lot of people just completely waste that first 43 characters. And
Yeah.
yeah, or they just don't have an inviting profile picture or something, like send a good vibe, like
Yeah.
don't take it like you're signing up for Uber and you're driving for your first time and you just took it in your car right before you started, like
Yeah. Put some thought into it.
give it some love. Yeah, throw a nice
Yeah.
color behind it or something.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I talk about a lot is just being intentional with everything we're doing, having a profile up on all of the social media platforms is good maybe, but like if you're not active and you're not engaging with your audience and your community on whatever platforms you're going to be on, it kind of shows that like you're not engaged, right? So
Oh
I
yeah.
think for a lot of people, like myself included, like right now I've got Twitter accounts, I've got Instagram, I've got TikTok, I've got everything. And like, I find it hard to like stay on top of things all the time. Right. So when somebody goes and looks for social proof of like, what's this Rex Allen guy about? If they land on my
Hmm.
Twitter, they're going to be like, whoa, he spent like one night doing like 30 tweets and then hasn't tweeted for 6 months, you know?
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
I think,
It's
I
a
think you
bad
got to be
feeling.
careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a bad feeling. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like I want to be able to put as much love as I can into anything that's out there. And like my clubhouse is completely non-existent. I have an account, but like I'm half tempted to just deactivate it because I'm not doing anything with it. Like, and I got all this other
Yeah.
stuff stretched in. But how do you feel about that? Does it feel like you need to be there full time, or it's just
I
not worth it?
mean, yeah, I think I feel a push to be everywhere. But at the same time, I know that I need to focus in on a couple platforms, so certainly you can cross post content, right? So like say you make a TikTok video, you could definitely take that video and post it everywhere, right? But like people are going
Hmm.
to see that it's optimized for TikTok, right? So depending on what your ultimate goal is, I think it makes sense to potentially just focus in on one or two platforms that make the most sense for your brand.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
I don't
feel that
know.
same
It's
way.
it's tough. Like I really feel like a push to just be everywhere, but at the same time, if I'm everywhere, then I'm not going to be anywhere really well.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get started with one specifically and get really good at it and then move out from there?
Yeah.
Or did you
So
start with a handful and then get burned out?
yeah. So before we were chatting, we were talking about kind of my history. So I'm
Oh, yeah, yeah.
mechanical engineer, come from engineering background, designing products in the outdoor industry, and with that, the firearms industry, which is kind of recently has become very difficult to grow new channels and new accounts in that industry, just because we're kind of demonized by the social media platforms and big tech, and they kind of limit our reach. So it's pretty difficult. But I don't know, 5 years ago, six, seven, eight, I don't know, quite a few years ago, I started an Instagram profile, just 100% organically grew it to like 35,000 followers. And I was like, I think I got this Instagram
Sick.
thing like figured out pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, seriously.
And then like the switch got flipped at the Instagram HQ, and like just slowly, slowly,
Everything was,
slowly over
yeah.
time, like
I
my
remember when that
followers
happened. Yeah.
they're getting removed. So I'm
Yeah,
down, that account is down to like 17,000 followers from
yeah,
30, 35. I mean, it's like half. So
yeah,
I definitely have kind of, as I have gone into, doing different type of work, I've definitely kind of distance myself from just being a firearm brand, because it's so hard to get content out and you can't do ads and just can't do stuff. So I've definitely been trying to
yeah.
distance myself from that. But I would say, from right now, kind of looking forward, I'm definitely putting most of my eggs in the LinkedIn basket.
Mhm.
I think for me, doing what I do, working more with brands and people who are business minded. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
not a software as a service company or anything, but I'm definitely a service company that works with businesses. So it seems
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
LinkedIn's a pretty good place for me to
You need to
be.
be in the
So
B2B, yeah, the B2B realm, and
yeah,
LinkedIn is that.
definitely people look on Instagram, to see what your kind of portfolio looks like. But I don't necessarily use Instagram for that. I mean, I've pivoted kind of one of my gun accounts into like my creator account. So it's got 7,000 followers and like 3 pictures. So
Wow, wow. Yeah, not bad.
it's kind of funny because I
Piggybacked a
just,
little off of
yeah, just
that.
changed the name and deleted all the old content. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of tricky there. Cause I mean, we were talking about this before we started streaming, but I've got this audience of, 2,500 LinkedIn connections, couple Instagram pages with probably cumulative 25,000 followers. I've got tons of Facebook friends that come from shooting competitions and stuff. And like, they're all used to me being an engineer, right? Certainly I wasn't posting any content on LinkedIn before. So that's like, whatever. But like, I've just got
Yeah,
this audience and a community of like people that don't know me for what I'm doing now, So I feel
yeah.
like that makes it difficult for me to grow Cause like I have all these like followers and stuff, but like it just is the wrong audience because they don't care about branding and marketing and content creation, you know?
Yeah, I heard this come up on a podcast I was listening to with a big TikTok guy, JT Barnett, and yeah, he was talking about how like if you transition your stuff from one idea, like you're talking about marketing, and then you decide to start a cooking channel or something like that. He was discussing it like this: like if you have that strong community and support behind what you're talking about, and people do appreciate you, you jump in with a few things, you kind of prep people for it, like, hey, I'm going to switch over to this new kind of content. I really hope that it's okay with you. But like if you're someone who's a community builder and someone that's creating relationships and actually engaging your audience, there is that possibility that you can kind of shift them over to, say, from guns and firearms over to marketing. I don't know, but
Yeah.
did you notice that at all when that was happening?
Um, I probably wasn't as strategic as I should have been with the whole thing. You know, I just kind of like
It's always
changed
like
the name.
hindsight 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like changed the name, deleted all the old content, just
Yeah.
like started
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
with it, you
It's
know.
a very
So
quick shift. Yes. Yes.
yeah, that probably wasn't as strategic as it ought to have been. But certainly on LinkedIn, I think I've done a better job. You know, I've
Yeah.
definitely put my efforts into LinkedIn, you know. So early on when I started my business back in March, I made quite a few posts and comments and just kind of talking about quitting my job and
Hmm.
transitioning from engineering and why. And
I'm sure that
you know,
helped.
I
Yeah.
think I kind of led people along, and I think certainly on LinkedIn, you know, I didn't have a whole public profile that was based on posting cool pictures of, you know, long range
Hmm.
rifles, you know. So
Yeah.
I think people are more used to seeing transitions on there, and certainly like I wasn't making content before, you know, so
Hmm.
I definitely had
Hmm.
an easier time there because nobody really knew me for anything on LinkedIn other than just like, you know, seeing it as my resume. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think I definitely think most people on LinkedIn just kind of look at it as a resume. You know, it's kind of an
I know.
online
Yeah.
CV or an
It's a
online
shame,
resume of
huh?
like who they work for, what they do.
Yeah.
And then there's
Yeah.
like a handful of us that are starting to kind of change the way LinkedIn works. It's interesting because my feed on LinkedIn is just kind of full of other people like me, because we're the ones that are creating content
Yeah.
on
You're talking
LinkedIn.
about
You know,
that microcosm a little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it does feel that way. And yeah, you bring up if you bring up the value of LinkedIn, like on Twitter the other day, this lady was like, "I'm doing a live stream soon. I'm just trying to figure out how I can get in touch with the people that come in after. I'm trying to figure out how I can do a follow up." And I was like, maybe
Hmm.
you just shouldn't do the follow up. I'm like, maybe you should just not do that at all and instead encourage them to follow you and then start creating daily content after that live stream surrounding that industry, engage that audience, talk to those people, and then they'll follow you further and potentially want to work with you. Why not let them decide on their own? And she was like, yes, check mark, I'm going to do that, I'm going to tell my boss that. And I was like, that's sweet. I was expecting you to disagree and be like, no, I need to bug people and annoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely my strategy. And it's kind of the strategy that I work a lot with my clients. So when I first started my business, I was like, I'm going to be a creative agency. That's all I'm going to do is like photo and video content creation. So I'm going to make commercials for brands. I'm going to make brand videos, lifestyle videos, just help brands become brands by content creation. And then a little bit of the upfront stuff with like logos and branding and positioning and that kind of stuff. Right. But as I got more and more into it, every single one of my clients is like, hey, we need this big marketing component and an ad component of what you're doing, you know? So as I have
Yeah.
gotten more and more into the creative side, I've also had to add all of this marketing side to it as well, because I mean, the best creative is kind of worthless if nobody sees it, you know? So I've been
Yeah, seriously.
really helping my clients strategize and figure out what the best method for them that they can stay consistent with, for
Yeah.
getting their content out and engaging with their communities that they're building.
Yeah, the consistency part for sure. Is that a headache at all? Because I've run into that. I've run into that being a little bit hard sometimes, where it's like, yeah, we need to stay on this and continue forward. It can't just be a 1 month push. It's got to be a 6 month, a 1 year push. But
Yeah.
have you noticed some stubbornness with that, or do people jump on board once they start seeing
It
the
seems like
feedback?
people, yeah, it seems like people who are engaging me because they see what I do and, you know, find value in it are less hesitant to do what I tell them to do, or, you know, less hesitant to kind of listen to my insight and then incorporate what we're talking about. because they know they want to change and they know they need to kind of get with the times. But certainly some of like the older brands or older clients that are kind of just not used to doing things, in the 2021
Yeah, yeah,
2020 era, I think they're definitely a little more hesitant.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
definitely a huge shift right now toward video content, and I think people
That's
are
your area. Yeah,
are slower to adopt that because it's a little bit harder,
it's
so
more vulnerable. Yeah,
yeah, like putting your face in front of a camera. I mean, going live is like the ultimate ultimate like pinnacle of like vulnerability, like
yeah, yeah, for
there's
sure.
no editing, there's no going back. Like once it's
Yeah,
out there,
right,
it's out
right. You
there,
say something that's gonna be there. Yeah, I hear you.
so I definitely like try to help Pete, whether I'm working with individuals on their personal brands or companies, like I try to help people realize that like as we get further and further into this COVID era and we're more detached from, our typical interactions with each other, like it's very much more important to stay human as a brand. And I think the best way to do that is to get your face and your human personality into your brand through
Hmm.
video, so
Yeah,
that's definitely one thing that I push, and the people that are adopting it I think are seeing really great results with that.
I definitely am. Yeah, and just the copywriting skills I'm gaining doing video on TikTok. I mean, I can pretty much get someone's attention enough to click that see more button on LinkedIn a
Uh-huh.
lot, but getting someone to stick around past 3 seconds on my TikToks is just like that is a skill I'm slowly gaining, but I think I'm getting it down. And yeah, just that alone. Now I'm transitioning that back over to my LinkedIn post, and I feel like I'm making it even more streamlined and more effective now that I've been
Yeah.
doing TikTok. So, one hand washes the other. That's how I describe it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Let's chat a little bit about TikTok. I mean, I think as I get more and more into LinkedIn, and like LinkedIn is so new for so many people, I think TikTok is like in a whole nother world of like new,
Yeah.
and I think a lot
It's
of people aren't on there and are afraid to get on there and don't want to get on there. But like, what do you think about TikTok for creators and then for businesses?
Yeah, it's a whole different dynamic for sure. And I think on TikTok, there's a community of people that do not want to deal with any BS. And so like any like I'll even go to pages like McDonald's or some of the big brands, I'll see them on my feed and I'll try to click to see if I can comment, can't comment. Like
Really?
I'll try to click the share button, can't share. You go to the page, no likes, no engagement. Everybody is hating it. And so it's just so interesting to me because like I'll go to these different pages. Then you find these individual accounts with just someone that's themselves talking about their day or whatever random stuff is happening. Maybe they go on hikes or whatever, just something really simple. And they just have followers through the roof. People are commenting. People are loving it. It seems like everybody wants to really prop up the individual on TikTok, and they want
Uh-huh.
to completely downsize the big brands, the legacy companies, and there's something really rebel about that I love, and very
Yeah.
anti-establishment that I really love, and
Yeah.
I've heard that pointed out by some creators on there, and so like now it's becoming very clear that the future is going to be in the personal brand. The future is going to be creators that build something around an interest they have, a passion they have. They're not doing it just to monetize. They're doing it because they love it. And I mean, I'm on there sharing my insights about marketing because I love doing it, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm driving other people over to LinkedIn. I'm not even trying to sell anything on TikTok, and I'm getting so much great feedback. And I have people in my audience that are telling me like I'm implementing what you're telling me to do, and it's working. And I appreciate you so much. And I'm like, I just got started on here. I'm like, I've been
Yeah.
doing this for like a full time for a little bit over a month, and you guys are already telling me like this guy. I did a post, he got 10,000 plus views on it, like 800 likes, and he gave me credit for taking off. And I'm like,
Wow, that's
anyways,
cool.
super mind blowing. But yeah, there's a great community over there of a lot of people that are just like LinkedIn. But I think at times they get a little bit bored with like reading stuff, and they want to see those visuals and that video and just
Yeah.
that really entertaining aspect. But what do you think of it? Yeah, what kind of thoughts do you have?
Man, I really like it. So, I mean, being a video guy, I try to. I mean, my whole persona like is all about helping people, right? And getting people to try doing it themselves, and then when they realize how hard it is, they hire me, right? I mean, that's kind of the lead
Yeah.
into my services. So, really, my goal, I mean, it's not selfish, but it really is just to help brands and businesses and people start making content so that they can grow. And I think TikTok is a huge opportunity to kind of have the bar lowered as far as video content is concerned. I
Hmm.
think if a brand's like, hey, we want to start a YouTube channel for our brand, well, YouTube's kind of hard. Like, people expect stuff to look good on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And there's a level on YouTube that's pretty tough to match, but on TikTok
Hmm.
it's like selfie video with a cell phone, like slapped
Yeah,
together a super
low
quick edit, and
quality.
like
Yeah.
you're good to go. So I think TikTok is a
Hmm.
really cool platform to help people start making their own video content, because the expectations are lower. I mean, reach is available. Like,
Oh
things
yeah.
can go viral out of nowhere. So I think TikTok is a great place to be. I definitely am new to TikTok, so I don't really have any advice as far as how to grow or how to make content that works or anything. But I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely know that I've made a handful of posts that have gone wildly successful
Yeah,
on
considering,
TikTok. So
like, yeah, I had to build on LinkedIn for a while before
yeah.
a good like 3 to 6 months before I really started to feel like I was hitting my stride and I felt like people were actually talking to me. But my first
Uh-huh.
TikTok, I posted it. It was garbage, absolute train wreck. I look back at it just as a reminder. And yeah, and it got over like 400 views and like 15, 16 likes immediately. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
just got on here. What, like, did I
Yeah.
deserve this? Did I earn this? And so yeah, I kept building from there and kept in like the first 20 or 30 videos I think are pretty atrocious. But once I got it down and started feeling more comfortable, it's like yeah, like you're saying, it's meant to be simple. It's not meant to be super polished. And the effects and the music they have on there, you smash that together. There's nothing more
Yeah.
magical than when you make a really nice video on there and you throw a beat to it. I'm all about slipping in like, Eminem or something, hip hop, anything that I can find. I've been
Yeah.
doing rat-a-tat instrumentals and
Uh-huh.
anything that I can catch someone's ear, that's from like from
Yeah.
that was listening to music, a few years back, like MGMT, whatever, just something that's very catchy and goes really well. I love
Yep.
that feeling. As soon as I do that, I'm like, this video is so sick. I can't wait for people to see this. And yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, so I got a survey from TikTok asking about their music service, and I thought it was super interesting because, like, in their survey they were giving away like loads of TikTok hacks on like how to like get around it. Because I mean, for those of you that don't know, music licensing is like a huge bugger for content creators. So like,
Hmm.
I can't make a YouTube video and just like put whatever music I want onto it.
Yeah.
But TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts all kind of have this integrated thing where you can put like legit music into your videos if you're not like a company.
Yeah,
So in
exactly.
in TikTok's email, they were asking you, because I have my currently it's set to a business profile, and they were asking like, how do you put music on your videos, and are you satisfied with the amount of commercially available licensed songs and music for your TikToks? And it was super interesting because they were
Did you say
asking me.
yes or no?
I said no, I wasn't happy with the business stuff, and
Yeah,
then
it's like you might as well get some more.
the next question was, do you switch your profile to a personal profile to use the song that you want and then switch it back to business? And I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
So
no,
there's a
yeah.
little TikTok
Am I
hack
gonna
of
admit
like,
that?
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah,
definitely see some people who are definitely running business channels on TikTok that are using all the popular songs. So they're definitely
yeah,
either just keeping their profile set to personal, which whatever, I don't know if that's
yeah,
kosher
yeah.
or not, but
Yeah, I mean,
it
I've
definitely helps.
avoided it. I've avoided putting it on business just because I feel like as soon as I do that, then I'm always weary that my reach is just going to drop, and then they're going to start, asking me to pay for promotions because I know a few of my tattoo friends experience that when they switch their
Yeah.
Instagrams over.
Huh.
But yeah, I thought my understanding of it was as long as you are not actively paying to promote your TikToks, you can still
Mhm.
use that branded you can use that branded or sorry the copyrighted songs.
Yeah.
So any of the ones that I've used, I eventually just stopped paying for advertising on TikTok because I'm like, I gotta earn this. Like I
Yeah.
tried it with like 5 or 6 videos and spent $60. It wasn't like a big deal, but yeah, I felt like I needed to do it the other way around. Plus I couldn't do it as soon as I dropped like a really good song on there. So it's like I'm not gonna sacrifice how awesome the content can be
Yeah.
just so that I can do that ad. But I don't know. I haven't thought about that long term or like what that ensues. But
Yeah.
with your YouTube background, you probably know what to look out for in that
Yeah,
area.
I mean, it definitely seems like YouTube is like more on top of like, and Facebook too. They're like more on top of like striking down DMCA violations and stuff. And it seems like TikTok's just like whatever, you know?
Yeah, the algorithm's probably not even prepared for it right now almost, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
So
I think about those older algorithms like Facebook, and it's like they are definitely able to watch for stuff like that a little bit more easily, put their
yeah,
feelers out there. Yeah.
yeah. So
So,
how does somebody find you on TikTok?
yeah,
Because
everything's
I've seen your TikTok videos on LinkedIn, but I just tried to find you on TikTok and can't find you.
yeah, everything's under at Brand with Dan. So you can find me
Okay.
on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok and Clubhouse. Yeah, at Brand with Dan. If you follow me there, don't expect much, but
Yeah.
yeah, all the other ones I'm putting a lot of love into. I
Cool.
begrudgingly reactivated my Instagram because of the new reach that they're doing with Facebook and all that, where it's like you post an Instagram reel and it'll get sent out to that Facebook audience, even if you don't have a Facebook account. So I'm like, great. I don't want to create a business account on Facebook. Just send it out. So I couldn't
Yeah.
turn down the reach
I
anymore. And
definitely I definitely think that TikTok has kind of changed the scope of all that. You know, Instagram came out and said we're no longer a photo app, we're a video app. Instagram's like drastically pushing the reach on Instagram Reels. YouTube is like still in beta mode on YouTube
uh,
Shorts because apparently that's difficult, but it's super
I,
cool.
I'm not liking YouTube Shorts, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I've been
it
trying to
seems
build on there.
clunky.
It's
Yeah, it
so
seems
clunky.
clunky and it's surprising. So I on my Rex Allen channel, it's like brand new on YouTube. Like don't have a whole lot on there other than my live streams. And
Hmm.
like, you know, I had like 80 followers at the time, and like I posted one of my videos where I was talking about perspective of camera lenses and stuff and like what that does to your face and the background and all that jazz. And it got like 4,000 views off of a channel that
Wow.
had like, you know, less than 100 followers at the time. And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah. Was
You
that
know,
Shorts or
so
was that original video?
yeah, it was, I mean, I just cut an original video into a
Yeah,
short,
and into a short. Okay. Yeah.
and
So
then
you've seen
posted it,
some
you know,
success.
so
That's good. I'm happy you've
yes.
had a good experience. I've been trying to repurpose, and I've even removed the watermark and tried to like make the video not look like a
Uh-huh.
TikTok video. That didn't
Yeah.
do anything. Like I've been going through and like doing my community building stuff, and like I
Uh-huh.
can't find anybody that wants to like interact. It's all just big accounts. It's like I need the little guys. I'm like, give me the ones with like 5 or 6 likes, people that I can actually engage with,
Yeah.
not, these giant influencers who don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
So
I definitely think YouTube is an interesting platform because there's like it's like impossible to interact with people. I mean, you have like comments and then responses to comments, but there's no tagging people, there's no sharing to people. You know,
that is
I
true.
definitely
That's a good
think it's
point.
more like creator focused on like helping creators build their own audiences, but not necessarily building communities because, you know,
Yeah.
it's just that
Maybe they're
social
focusing
aspect's missing
more.
a little bit.
I don't know if it's just baked into the branding, but it's like YouTube. You create your own television almost, and like
Yeah,
and traditional TV is very one directional, and it's like,
that's
yeah,
true.
you
Yeah.
can drop a comment on a YouTube post, but like I've never had anybody from that channel respond to anything, and it's always just like some dude, coming in
Yeah.
and trying to troll me or whatever, and
Yeah.
yeah, so maybe you're right. Maybe it's just not baked into the code yet. And maybe like even if YouTube Shorts does take off and there's a lot of reach, it won't be that same dynamic. I don't know, maybe it won't even be like that. Maybe I'm expecting the wrong thing. I'm trying to take my community building stuff and it's just not quite working there. So
Yeah, I definitely think YouTube is an interesting one for creators because they've got monetization built in the platform. So I think
yeah, I
that
do
is
love
really
that.
huge for creators because as you build a channel and you work on building a subscriber base and a community that you can't communicate with,
Yeah,
you can at least get paid and you can actually get
yeah,
paid
seriously.
pretty well. And there's brand deals. So I mean, I think YouTube is a really, really good platform. I mean, I would say probably right now my main focus is LinkedIn, and then my secondary focus would be YouTube, and then
Yeah,
probably TikTok after that. And I don't know,
I think
maybe
those are all solid. Yeah.
I'll close down everything else because if I'm not being active on the platform, then it's not helping me, you know? and it's not
Yeah, it's
helping
like,
other people either.
yeah, you can
If I've
follow
got,
me, but you're just doing it for me at that point. It's like
yeah,
if I'm not putting in the love for it, it's not
yeah.
creating anything for you. But
And I mean, right now
yeah,
I'm just one guy in my company, and like I don't have time to take a post and then skin it for LinkedIn and Twitter and TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Like I just don't have
yeah,
time,
I don't
So
either.
I just have
Yeah.
to stick with one platform, one or two, maybe bounce back and forth between, those three
Hmm.
platforms for me.
I think those are
Um,
great, and you can repurpose all over the place with that too. So,
yeah.
yeah, I did have a question. When I know you're focusing on LinkedIn, but like, yeah, with the YouTube side of things, if someone builds up a following doing shorts, I mean, how do you think will they have to build more long form 8, 10, 12 minute videos in order to actually bake in advertisements and do sponsorship deals? Because I know a lot of that stuff is where a lot of the money comes from on YouTube, and it's like I'm trying to bend my head around it. Do you think the future will have people that are just YouTube shorts people, and will the advertising have to change, or will they start doing, just implementing little products in their videos versus fully talking about them like they normally do?
Yeah.
I guess my thought is like, how do you think the future will look?
Yeah, I'm not real sure. I mean, YouTube Shorts especially is so new and it's so buggy that, I don't know that like there's that same mentality baked into YouTube Shorts, right? So your typical YouTube video, you're going to do whatever you do at the hook, right? To maybe tell them what you're going to talk about and then cut it off short, and then whatever you're going to do to kind of hook your audience and then kind of bring them along for your whole story. There's kind of that understood methodology for a longer form YouTube video. And somewhere there in the beginning, you're going to ask them to subscribe and you're going to ask them to like the video and all that stuff that's like acceptable for YouTube. But like
Mhm.
in a 30-second short, you're not going to spend 20 seconds of that talking about
No,
subscribing and liking. Like there's none of that, right? So
no,
I
yeah.
don't know what will happen with shorts, because like, from those few viral ones that I've had, like haven't gotten really any new subscribers from those versus like if I took the effort to make a really good longer form video and then posted that, if it's good, like people that see it are going to consider subscribing. So I think
Mhm.
TikTok has just kind of conditioned people to just fly through all those videos and not necessarily stop and like, not necessarily stop and comment because they're not there
Yeah,
very long. So I,
yeah,
I don't know if there'll ever be like if you can really start just doing shorts, you can probably get a lot of views, but I don't know if you ever build like a subscriber base or a community from
yeah.
doing those versus just kind of showing up in the Reels feed.
Yeah, I see all the new duplicates, and I think, is this gonna last? Like, is
Yeah.
shorts gonna, and what will it look like? Will it be as authentic? Will it make as big of an impact as TikTok did at the time? Maybe it was just a timing thing. Maybe it's just where the world was at it, when it really started to take off. You know,
Yeah.
Will that morph into something more complex or more focused around? Anyways, it's a good subject to consider because we'll find out within the next 6 months to a year who's going to really make it. Is Pinterest going to make it? Is YouTube going to make it? Will Spotlight on Snapchat make it? Facebook's doing something. Will all the boomers be okay with that? So it's like it does make you wonder because you got to think about the
Yeah.
audience and what they're going to think of it.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. It's been an interesting year for social media. I mean, and you kind of have to look at like the companies behind the platforms. So LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. I don't see
mhm,
Microsoft going anywhere anytime soon. Same
mhm,
thing. YouTube
mhm.
is owned by Google. Google's like king of the earth. So they're not going
Yeah,
anywhere.
and
You've got,
everything's integrated with Google too. So,
yeah. So you've got Twitch that's owned by Amazon, which is kind of interesting.
wow,
But
I
they're a
did. I thought
streaming
I
only
never thought about
platform,
that.
so that's kind of weird and interesting. So I don't think
Hmm.
they're going to go anywhere. But there's been quite a few people that are saying that Twitch is going to die because all it is a streaming platform, and now all of the other platforms are integrating streaming. So now there's less of an incentive to be just on Twitch.
Hmm.
So that's interesting stuff. I don't
The
know. It's just
market's
kind of
going
a
to
lot of,
decide.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the social media space. But I definitely
No.
think that
Yeah.
everybody's trying to like play catch up with TikTok. And I don't know. It just seems like people that are, I mean, that's why I'm doing it, right? I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to ride this little gravy train while Instagram and YouTube are like trying to catch up to TikTok. I'm going to post there. I'm going to post my TikTok there. So like it'll get that viral reach and whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah, the market is
definitely,
going to decide for it no matter what,
yeah,
like, and
yeah, it
they may
definitely
dump
seems
they
like,
may dump a lot of money into it and bankrupt their Twitch may try to try to do what TikTok is doing, or yeah, I think the stronger people stick into their lane. I hope LinkedIn sticks with live streaming and long form text, and because that's what LinkedIn is known for. It's like Twitter is known for little snippets and being able to integrate GIFs and really quick content, and they should stick to
yeah,
that. Like it's like, yeah, find the lane and keep going with it, but we'll see who ends up being falling into obscurity.
yeah. So let's jump back to LinkedIn for a minute. I mean, when we're talking about like text or post types, I guess I see a lot of content that talks about how you should just be making text posts and that's it. Like no pictures, no videos, no nothing, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
that seems kind of weird to me with like the trends of where the world is going, right? So I did a kind of an analysis of my feed one night where I looked at 100 posts and I classified those posts by type, right? Whether it was a long form text post, short form text post, a video post, or a photo post. And it was like 60% of my feed was photo and video related, maybe
Mhm.
70. I mean, it was like drastically the majority. And I was kind of just like, I don't know what all these gurus are talking about because that's not what I see, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it
You kind of want to
definitely,
argue against that when you see that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think that like it's important to do what works for your audience, right? So if you're a
Mhm.
photographer on LinkedIn and you're trying to market your photography business and build a community of photographers, you're probably
Mhm.
not just going to write text posts about photography and make it very far, you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, I could see maybe some nuance coming out of that, but yeah, you got to show your skills. Yeah, for sure. But if you're a lawyer or you're like, whatever, like maybe you're not going to focus as much on pictures. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's interesting. I mean, to respond, if I were to, I think like the I think you should mix it up. I mean, I'll go on Twitter and I'll find a screenshot of something I thought is awesome, and I'll share it back on LinkedIn. And I find that people just love hitting that like or that reaction button, and and I get way more organic reach on that stuff. And I've had things shoot well above any of my written text with those
Mhm.
screenshots. I think people are genuinely fatigued with long form content at certain points
Yeah.
throughout their day. I'll wake up early. I'll wake up and I'm fine reading stuff on LinkedIn, but by the end of the day, I'm all about TikTok. It's like
Yeah.
my brain can only handle so much reading, and I know I need to do that. But like, especially reading on my phone, and sometimes people don't format stuff the way that feels right for me,
Yeah.
and I'll skim it and not really absorb it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of magic that can happen with just a few breaks in the sentences, and then also incorporating those pictures because yeah, if there's something you want to share from your office environment or something that happened, why not? And I mean, uh, I think that people that say those definitive statements are more than likely wrong a lot of the time. And it's like someone was talking about Instagram the other day, and they were talking about how you should do different, or TikTok. They were talking about how you should do different hashtags every single time, and otherwise your hashtags will stop working. And I'm like, what, huh? Like they're about to start indexing these things and connecting them to Google. So why would I switch up my hashtags and make it easy for that specific subject to not be connected to my brand? Why,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to confuse the algorithm. Sure. I was about to comment and I'm like, you know what, maybe I'm wrong. Like I'm still getting to know this stuff. I
Yeah.
haven't been on here for 10 months yet, but like in my head, I'm like, that can't be right. I'm just thinking to myself, like you were probably thinking to yourself, like it can't just be text content. And I'm looking through my feed, and the stuff that's taking off is video and pictures. So yeah, it's like you can trust the guru or you can trust your gut and what you're seeing in
Yeah.
the real world.
Yeah, and I definitely think it makes sense to kind of trust but verify, because like certainly like I'm not the biggest LinkedIn expert. Like I'm almost going to get permanent banned on the platform. I've been banned 3 times because I like one day
Yeah, I
looked
saw
at
you
too many
talking about that.
profiles.
Yeah, yeah, and I stopped doing that as soon as I read that, by the way.
Yeah, so like
I
hopefully
immediately
that
was
brings
like,
some
"Oh
value to
man."
you and the
Yeah, I was
audience.
like,
But
"Whoa,
like,
Rex got kicked off for that? I need to stop doing that then."
yeah, so I definitely think that there's some risk there, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I just think I think it's important to trust some of the people that are successful, right? So before the stream today, we were talking about Justin Welsh.
Mhm.
You mentioned him and I was like, "Oh, I'm literally like making a post about that guy right now." But like,
Yeah.
he's built a brand for himself. He's got 100,000 plus followers. So like when that guy says, hey, this is what works for me, like I'm going to trust that, to some extent. But at the
Yeah,
same
he's got the
time, like
social proof or whatever. Yeah.
I'm gonna trust what works for me and what works for my audience, right? And if my audience doesn't want to read, I'm not saying that he says this, but if my audience doesn't want to read long form text like everybody says I should be writing, then I'm not going to write it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Justin Welsh has his own subjective view of the world, and as much as I totally dig that guy, I mean, look at my shades. Like, I'm a total fanboy for Justin Welsh. But like, I love using emojis. Justin Welsh would say, don't do that. Don't use emojis. I like to bring some extra context with a bunch of fun dialogue and drag people through a story that they probably weren't agreeing to at the beginning, but they felt captivated by it. That's not Justin's style, like he's very to
Yeah.
the point, matter of fact, trim the fat. And I'm over here trying to be a little bit more whimsical about it. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, and maybe one day I'll have a huge following. I can be like, you know what? I didn't listen to every single person that was the expert, but I did listen to at the right time to certain people. And
Yeah.
Justin overall wants people to be consistent and to stick to the process and believe in it. And if as long as you're doing that stuff, like who cares about a few emojis or longer sentences and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, if people have data that shows kind of algorithmic biases, then I definitely think it bears in mind to pay attention to that. Like, if me posting a bunch of poop emojis in my posts are like killing my
Yeah.
reach, then like maybe I should
Yeah,
stop.
yeah, 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 for sure.
But like, I don't know. It's like because so I have the Shield integration for LinkedIn that kind of shows me reach and analytics and stuff. And like one of the things that program pulls from every single post is like the number of emojis that you used in the post. And I was like,
Wow.
that's kind of interesting. So like if they're pulling that number, certainly LinkedIn is giving it to them, right? So like LinkedIn
Yeah.
is like keeping a tally of like how many emojis you're putting in your posts, and maybe they're
Yeah.
like, emojis aren't professional, this is a platform
Oh,
for
I know.
curmudgeons only, and
Yeah, right.
maybe we
We
are
want this
hurting
place to be
ourselves
as
by
boring as
yeah.
possible. Yeah. Yeah, for
So I
sure.
definitely think it makes sense to play within the rules or play within the scope of what a platform is allowing you to do and be successful doing. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like everybody hungers and thirsts for authenticity. And if you're not, if your personality is bright shirt and, green beanie and blue like Justin Welsh glasses, then like
Yeah.
that's who you need to be on social.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you're not being you, then you're being somebody else, and people are going to see through that crap, and they're
Yeah.
not going to
Yeah.
want to be in your community, and they're not going to want to listen to you, and they're not going to want to be your customer. So I think it's
Yeah, for
super
sure.
important to like stay true to who you are so that comes out and your personal value comes out and people follow you and listen to what you say because of who you are, not because of what you do, right? Because like there's probably a million people on LinkedIn that could be telling us how to grow on LinkedIn, right? And
Yeah.
yet both of us found Justin Welsh and are like buying his program.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Oh, I
like,
totally would. Yeah, absolutely. If there's any program I'd buy, it would be his. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think you can't spell personal brand without getting personal, and a lot of people decide to just leave that out, to not discuss their past, to not share the intrinsic things that have happened to them. And it's like I talk about my poetry background and my performance poetry background all the time because it tested me. I was in front of an audience of 200 plus strangers
yeah,
sharing very vulnerable stuff about myself in a very open format. It was terrifying, but going through that makes it so much easier for me to create content now, and it also helps
yeah,
me understand what is going to connect with the human heart. And I think at the end of the day, that's a lot of what marketers are doing, is just trying to make that connection and be relatable. I found that my TikToks got 10 times better when I stopped talking so loudly, like, and
hmm,
I have a very loud voice naturally. So like I
yeah,
filmed one of my videos while my daughter was sleeping and taking a nap, and I had to be quiet. And
hmm,
I got incredible reach on that video, and everybody seemed to respond better. And I just double and tripled down on that. So it's like as you
huh,
experiment, you figure out what works, and then you just roll with that. So yeah,
yeah.
that's been my
Yeah,
process.
so I had a technical question for you. I don't know if this is like your secret sauce, but
Oh,
in that video that I saw on I think I saw it on LinkedIn, but it was a TikTok video where like you kind of had some interesting colors going on. It was like dark, and I think you had like a purple light or something Like
Like
that
this guy
looked,
behind me.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
with the
looks, it looks
blue.
pretty cool. But like you had some like really good, like your subtitles were like really awesome. Like how some of
Thanks.
them were
Yeah.
big text and some of them were little, and it just flowed right when you said it. And like I was like, ooh, that's nice. So I've got a
Yeah.
program
Yeah.
called Subtitle, and it's like kind of terrible, and I'm probably going to cancel it because I don't like it. So I'm wondering, like, what's the secret sauce on getting those subtitles on your video? Because out of all the subtitles I've like ever seen, like those ones in your video were like way awesomely implemented.
I wish I could say it was like some super special thing, but like, yeah, all I did was go through TikTok and I saw all these creators doing that, and I could not figure out how to do it on TikTok, and so I just started sending messages, and they're like, "Yeah, no, I'm doing it on Instagram." No one was sharing the hack yet, and so you
Uh
go on
huh.
Instagram and you create a story, and so you start the story, and then when you get done, you can click the little sticky note at the top, and it'll say subtitles. I think it's like the second option down. You
Uh
click
huh.
on that, and you get like four different options for. There's one that like spells it out like a typewriter, a couple of other different types, but yeah, that's
Hmm.
the main one that everybody's been using. So yeah, you hit that, and it converts really easily. It doesn't screw up the language. It has correct pronunciations,
Uh
the
huh.
right
Cool.
theirs and words and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then you just save it from there, and then you upload to TikTok.
So do you have
So
to
yeah,
download it from Instagram first and then save it, or can you? I mean, do you have to post it in order to download it, or can you just
no,
download it
no.
before
You just
posting?
create it like a raw story. You don't post it. You just hit save and then you
Huh.
exit out. And so then you have it saved in your phone and then you just upload it in the order that you want. So, and I do have a video on TikTok detailing that too. So I can tag you in
Okay.
that later.
Yeah,
So I
you'll have
did
to
an
do that.
explainer because people kept asking about it. And I'm like, let's explain this. So yeah, get
Yeah,
down in
it's
the
pretty
weeds with
cool. I
people.
mean,
I don't
yeah,
know. TikTok
being
is probably going to implement their own version of that soon. And then it won't
yeah,
even matter anymore. But yeah,
yeah.
it's all through the magic of Instagram.
Yeah, subtitles pretty terrible. Like I did that video for the client yesterday, and I tried to make like a social version, so square with like the letter boxes and the
Mhm.
subtitles and everything. And like I spent like a half an hour going through those stupid
Wow.
subtitles and
Yeah.
fixing them and stuff because they were just jacked up.
Yeah, it works really well. I don't know what Subtitle does, but I mean this works really well. It spells everything well, and then if you click on it, it'll give you a different version every time. So sometimes the letters will be super big, other times they'll be dense. It's really zippy for sure. And plus, I've just learned that like if you have words moving across, people are inclined to read them, like no matter
Yeah.
what you do. And if it's like really fun and punchy, like it is with
Hmm.
that,
Yeah,
yeah. And then you got
for
the blue
sure.
light in the background, trying to look like some sort of I'm trying to make myself look pretty cool.
I
My
was like, is
office
this
looks.
Avatar? Like, what is this?
I got a few of those. I kind of stopped doing them, but yeah, I mean, it was just fun. I got this new light, and it's got so many crazy settings on it. Like you can just do like
Yeah,
every
cool.
type of color, and so I was like, what can I do with this thing? Um, so yeah, just start having fun with it. But
So the light that I've got, so there's one that's back there that shines on the Stoke sign. That one's
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's like super,
That's
super
your
bright.
background light.
And it
Yeah.
does, yeah, my background, it's like my most expensive light, and I use it on the freaking background. It's hilarious. But that
It
one
always
goes
works out
color,
like
and then
that.
I've got a couple more back there that are super colorful, but I end up just kind of going with black and white most of the time.
Yeah.
Just funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've just learned that it's all about the content, and as much as I want to have like that sweet YouTuber studio like you have there, I mean, one of these days I'll get rid of the Dan sign and get like a neon Daniel Kading in the background, all pink and
Yeah.
blue. I don't know, but yeah, that day
Is
will
that
come.
just Dan? Just because you're Dan, or are you actually a
Well,
diver too?
It's a Swedish flag, I
Oh,
guess,
it's a
or
Swedish
something. And
flag.
yeah,
Okay,
my buddy got it for me for my birthday, and it's been like my favorite thing ever. So
gotcha.
it's just good branding, I guess. Like,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
keep it casual.
I'm
But
a scuba diver, and
oh,
Dan
okay,
is like
okay.
an organizational body that
I might
like
be wrong. It might not be
certifies
Swedish,
stuff.
but
It might
yeah,
be. I mean,
that could
the
be
plus
it could
sign
be
would
scuba
definitely
diving.
be Swedish, but Dan with like the
Yeah,
diagonal line would be a diving thing. So could
I
be
have no
both.
idea where it came from. Yeah, so much random
It's
stuff
cool.
like that in
It's
my
cool, and
house.
it's got your name on it. So what's it
Yeah,
matter?
yeah, right, exactly. Well, hey, I do need to get ready for a meeting. But yeah, it's been awesome talking to you, and
Yeah, dude. Hopefully,
I'd love to do it again.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I do these every week, and I've been trying to start booking other people and kind of getting outside of me just doing them by myself or just with my one buddy all the time. I
Hmm.
mean, they're
Hmm.
fun doing them with him, but I think it's fun to get other perspectives and stuff kind of from the whole sphere of what I'm interested in and what I do for people. and then, give people another platform, another venue to talk about what they're doing and find
Yeah, live
synergy and stuff.
streaming's
So I think it's
you're
all
on the
good.
cusp. You're on the cusp. I'll shoot you a DM with some names if you want to send some people some DMs. People I think are awesome and should have a voice on here. I'll send you a few of those if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Get you some new
I'll
get you some
tag
new
you.
people.
I'll tag you in my post today. It'll be a good
Please.
one to like tag people in, because that's what I'm going to ask for. I mean, last time I
Cool.
did this and asked for people to follow, I found like everybody that I follow now. So I'm going to do it again and see if I can find
Cool.
some more cool people that I need to be listening to. So
Yeah, I'll
it'll be
hit that
cool,
at
man.
sign over and over again.
There you go,
You
dude.
got it.
All right,
Cool.
man. It was super fun to
Hey,
get to know you today, and I
yeah, you
appreciate you
too.
for jumping on the stream, and appreciate everybody for being with us now. Not that many people now, but everybody that watches later, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
should be good.
Appreciate everybody and thanks for having me on. It's been
Yep.
great.
We'll see you.